Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube and you know what to do. Joining me tonight are three resident Manchester United fans on the Upper Tier. Joining me from Retrotainment and Retrotainment Recast, and as Greg would say, on the slab as well, that I tend to forget. Ted, how we doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm not on the slab. It's just Greg on the slab. Loaned him out there.
A number of times you've been close to being on the slab, let's just say.
I've been close, but haven't been there yet.
13 million transfer fee, apparently.
Yeah.
Also joining me, Greg, how we doing?
What's happening?
After recovering from that long haul yesterday of that live Champions League coverage.
Jesus, UEFA drag it out, don't they?
That was a long one.
They don't make it easy.
I forgot who did Arsenal get, lads?
I don't know. Hard to say.
Still waiting to find out.
Yeah. Having said that, the lady on stage was easy on the eye. That's all I'm saying.
But the only thing is Ivanovic wasn't.
Essie, in fairness, looked fairly dapper. In fairness to him.
Also looks the exact same.
Also joining me, my man from the man who holds the slammy for the Collector's Corner episodes, also joins me on the Upper Tier. Also might join me next week as well. We tend to drop a little international episode when it's an international break, hounding out the FAI and stuff like that. Darren, how we doing, my man?
Evening, Niall. How are we, lads?
Good.
Alrighty, Darren.
Good. Well, you can guess, lads, our viewers can guess from the backgrounds. We're on to talk about Ronaldo, but it's more the Ronaldo behind me smiling than the Ronaldo behind Ted.
What a legend. Back at United, lads. He's going to bag us a hat-trick now after scoring that one against us. What a legend. Back to United he is.
Greg, let's start with you. I woke up this morning and I seen the sign, welcome to Manchester, in blue, Cristiano Ronaldo. Lunchtime news breaks. United are in for him big time. City aren't proceeding with him. And the prodigal son returns. He's having a medical, apparently, I think, in Lisbon or something they were saying, or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably be unveiled. I'd imagine they might try and unveil him on Sunday, would they?
Not away to Wolves, I wouldn't think.
No, they'll wait.
But he's not. He's gonna go. He's gonna stay there now until after the international break.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As far as I know. But I said to you yesterday, I couldn't really see him going to City.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, really, wasn't it? I mean, the United fan base were up in arms kind of about it when this news broke. I suppose I have a couple of ideas behind this. One, Fergie probably made a phone call without a shadow of a doubt. And
he 100% made a phone call.
And if he didn't make a phone call or two, did the agent leak the story about City and was it real? And
well, I don't know. According to some of the reports, the deal was offered to a few teams. It was offered to Madrid. It was offered to PSG. It was offered to United, and it was offered to City. And I think Bayern were given a chance as well, as far as I've seen. The agent just sent it out and said, "There's the contract. There's the fee. If you're interested, let me know.
Hit me up."
Yeah. And then apparently City had said, "Well, maybe," and they were the only team that kind of got back to them until yesterday when United went, "Well, we'll have a look at that." According to his agent, United were in contact yesterday.
Yeah, it was kind of like he ain't going blue, he's going red no matter what. It doesn't matter whether we need him or not. He ain't going over to the dark side of the force no matter what.
But I think, like as I said to you yesterday, I wasn't really pissed off because they were the only team in for him. Now, if I would have been pissed off if he had picked them over us. In a way.
Yeah, but I suppose when you look at the project at United, I mean, realistically, he's out of there now, 8-9 years or whatever it is.
More.
Does
12.
Does it really matter? You know what I mean? Does it really matter, like with the project that's going on at United?
No, well, that's what I said to you yesterday. I said, if you look at it, like there's no loyalty in football really anymore. Like he's been to two other teams since United. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like the difference is there leaving when Tevez left United, he went from United to City.
Yeah.
Because he's a snaky rat.
So it was kind of raw. It was kind of raw in the fan base as opposed to this.
I have other choice words for Tevez, but I'll try and keep it a bit clean today.
His move was kind of raw to the fan base, whereas with Ronaldo, I think there's more of a kind of a romance to it, if you like, really. It's like a long distance relationship that broke up and kind of got back together. Ted, what you thinking on it?
Yeah, I think City did go in for him, and then the second that they heard United were going in, they were like, pull the plug on that. We're wasting our time, because when it comes down to it, if he's given the option, he's going to pick United. I think that they did go for it. I don't think it was just a leak by his manager. I think that they did think about it, because they are lacking as like for a striker.
Centre forward.
Yeah, they're lacking someone like that at the moment with Aguero gone. But I think once they seen that United were going in, they were like, if we're the only two options, us and United, is Ronaldo going to, take the risk and come to us, or is he just going to go to United for the, as you said, the romance of it? And I think they knew, they were like, they'll go hell for leather for it, and we're not going to be willing to go too much further than we've just made the offer. And I don't know, like, I know what Greg's saying about Tevez being quite raw when he moved. I think this would have been worse if Ronaldo had been given the choice, the same offer from both teams, and gone, yeah, I could go back to United for the same money, the same wages, the same everything, but I'll go to City. I think that would have hurt more. Like, Tevez, little snake, but at the same time, he was surplus to requirements to us at the time, and he was offered something better. So he took it. This wouldn't even have been something better. This would have just been, was offered the same thing, and I picked them over you. And that would have hurt more to me than what Tevez did.
But I suppose the reality of the move, I mean, he's getting out of Juventus. He doesn't seem to have settled there at all.
No.
And certainly the project at Juventus to bring him in and deliver the Champions League and all this other stuff kind of pittered out, really. Darren, what you think of the prodigal son returning?
Yeah, delighted, man. I think there's a lot of credit has to go to the agent for how he's gone about this, and how swiftly it's been.
Mendes
done.
is a classy agent, though.
Yeah. I mean, when you as a United fan, like, we've been used to dealing with shitty agents over the years. None other than Raiola, or none bigger than Raiola, should we say? But I mean, Mendes here has done a great job for everybody. He's done a great job for Juve, because Juve didn't want the wages on their bill, and they were looking to clear Ronaldo off the wage bill and go in a different direction. He's done a good job for United, because he's basically went to them and said, this is what's going to cost you. And, there's no folding on that. But we're going to be very clear. We're going to offer the same deal to everybody. This is what you need to get your hand on the table. And then he's done a great job for Ronaldo, because he's got him out of Juve and he's given him options of where to go. Now, I personally believe, like Ted, that City were interested. But I do think once United became, a realistic or a viable option, I think City then realised, listen, he's not going to choose us, and we don't look like, silly beggars again in the kind of Alexis Sanchez situation. So we'll pull the plug here ourselves rather than, lose face over. They've just lost face over Harry Kane as well, They went all out for him, and all of a sudden now he's saying at Spurs, and they're like, well, we look a bit silly because we haven't got Kane. United have already done a fools before with Sanchez. We're not going to throw the ball in the ring for another goal.
It wouldn't surprise me if they make a late move for Lewandowski here.
I think they've got to do something, because they are goal shy. They don't have a centre forward and out and out. They've got Jesus, but he's not going to win you a title or a Champions League. His work off the ball is decent, but with the ball he's very, very poor, and his finishing for Brazilian strikers, I think it's only worse than Roberto Firmino, to be honest with you.
Deadline day signing, Man City sign Troy Deeney.
Tell us this, lads. Just an opinion, like from an outsider looking in here. I'm really just the host. You guys are celebrating Ronaldo coming back, obviously. Couple of things that come up. One, if City were truly in for him, I mean, I know there's the romance there in the history with Fergie and United and all that kind of stuff and all. But is the reality of the situation is, if he goes to City, I mean, the guy is 36. He has what? Some people are saying he'll probably play till he's 40 because of the way he keeps himself, and that wouldn't surprise me. But he's definitely in the twilight of his career. Has he a better chance at winning stuff at City than he would have at United?
Probably.
And would that have been a factor if City had stayed in the game?
No,
I don't think so either. Only based on he pinned his flags to the mast a couple of years ago with comments he made, about playing in. Yeah, and if I wanted to do it for money, I could head anywhere. He could have gone to the MLS. He could have gone to the Middle East. He could have got big money in China or elsewhere.
No, but I don't mean in terms of money. I mean in terms of if you're in the twilight of your career now and you're trying to build a legacy, is he more likely if he looks at City and he looks at United, if you park the romance and the history and the Fergie hugging and all the other stuff and the interviews he gave saying he'd only go back to United if he was gone to the Premier League, the world changes. Messi's gone to PSG, so they're all mercenaries at the end of the day. But is that overriding factor of adding, another collection of trophies or potentially pushing City on in that project to potentially deliver a Champions League? Would that not be an overriding factor if City had a stead in the ring to continue to fight?
I think he thinks he can do it with United.
Yeah,
maybe not
100%.
the Champions League, but I think he thinks that team that United have are literally lacking that final goal scorer. We're missing a defensive midfielder as well, but what he brings to the table now is he's going to get you 15, 20 goals this season.
But the Champions League is really his stage, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think that United team are ready to win the Champions League. I don't even think they're nearly there. But what Cristiano Ronaldo brings to the table is a winning mentality. Yeah. And he demands the best from everybody.
So he
might be the difference that sparks the team into life. Kind of like when they brought Ibrahimovic back, or brought Ibrahimovic in. Yeah. He brought that winning mentality. And it sparked him to 3 trophies in 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, based on the draw yesterday, I don't see you having a problem in the group stages of the Champions League at all. So I don't see this be a situation where, you're suddenly dumped down into Thursday night football with Ronaldo or anything like that.
Imagine.
That just ain't going to happen. And look, if it did happen, it ain't going to happen for him. He's no interest in that. Talk to me about, Ted, you might want to come in here as well. Talk to me about the effect it's going to have. He's obviously going to come in. He's obviously going to play without a shadow of a doubt. What happens now in terms of who comes out and how does Ollie manage that? I mean, this is uncharted territory now for Ollie now. He's going to have to manage Ronaldo, Cavani, Rashford, Martial on the outskirts.
That's Pogba, who comes out.
You know what I mean? Well, Martial doesn't really come out because he's...
Cavani comes out.
You think Cavani comes out? Yeah. That's a big call, isn't it?
I don't think it's as simple as somebody comes out and somebody come in. Yeah. I think he's an option, and United have always had options. If you look at the year we won the treble, we'd 4 strikers, and week to week you couldn't bet which 2 pair were going to play, be it Solskjaer, Sheringham, York, and Cole. And I think something United have lacked over the last few years is options. We're going into games, and as United fans, we pretty much now nailed on who's going to play where, because there isn't other players for those positions. I think something Ronaldo's going to bring now is going to give you an option. I mean, I certainly see from time to time, maybe now Pogba gets a break, maybe Bruno gets a break. Maybe we're not having to play guys 10, 12 games in a row to try and pick up results against lower teams in the league, Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves, teams like that, when you have other guys that can do it, and the quality is we're getting a little more depth in the quality of what we have, which means then you can spread that out a little more, and hopefully that should lead to, a 3 or 4 pronged attack as we're looking for trophies, that we're not just saying we're throwing all our eggs in the basket of a Premier League. We can fight on 3 or 4 fronts, knowing that, okay, Eddie's going to play on Sunday, we're home against whoever, but Ronnie's going to play on Wednesday when we're away at such and such a place. And I mean, it is, at different stages, you're going to need different players because they are very, very different players as well.
The one thing Ronaldo is going to bring is it's going to give the likes of Pogba and Bruno a lot more space, because when Pogba was playing, or when Bruno was playing on his own, you have one person man mark him and that was it. When you brought Pogba back, there was a bit more space for one or the other. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to risk 3 players to mark 3 players?
Yeah, I suppose where I'm coming from really is it's all well and good saying, right, so Cavani might come out and get rested and someone else gets played and stuff like that. What happens when it's time for Ronaldo to be rested? This is where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Like it's to me, it's whether Solskjaer is going to be strong enough to manage that whole situation there, because Rashford's going to be coming back. He's going to want to play. He's going to go in on the left wing. That's where he's going. He's going in on the left wing. So then what happens with Pogba? because they've wanted to play Pogba out there in the left, and he's been brilliant out there.
Pogba will drop back into the middle.
And you lose Fred or McTominay probably.
Hopefully, Fred. Hopefully, he gets lost in the jungle somewhere.
Well, McTominay's out for 8 weeks anyway or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that makes that decision. Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, and then I suppose where I was coming from earlier when we were talking about it on the thread and stuff like that, it's where Greenwood now fits into that mix, because like his development has been really good. They've brought him along nicely. We know that he's clinical. His development is key to United and stuff like that, you know.
On the right hand side is where he goes.
Yeah,
That's
It's
right.
gonna be
That's
him
right.
and Sancho.
Himself and Sancho will trade that position a lot, but I still see him maybe getting games as a
Centre
9.
forward, yeah.
You know, with Ronaldo maybe playing at a 10 if Bruno's not playing. You know, or Pogba playing at a 10 and Ronaldo moving to the left hand side. Like there's so much scope for to have players on position that will interchange across the field, which ultimately is going to make teams find it much more difficult to mark players, because if all of a sudden Ronaldo's on the left and he switches to the right and maybe there's no pass over, then he's through the middle, then the centre half looking going, I thought one of you boys was on it. It can cause an awful lot of confusion between 4 or 5 defenders at the back of a team there, you know?
I think Ronaldo's going to get that position that he had towards the end of his United career, where Ferguson was just like, start here and go wherever.
Yeah.
How do you think Ollie's going to feel about it? I mean, obviously this wasn't clearly in Ollie's plans. I mean, this is something that came up in the last 24 to 48 hours, and United pulled the trigger on it, obviously, you know what I mean? But I don't, like, Solskjaer wouldn't have, like, figured Ronaldo coming into his plans.
I don't think anyone did, though, did they? Did anyone figure Ronaldo coming into their plans, really?
No.
Like,
I don't know if he figured that, but he said something the other day about something special coming up in one of the interviews. He said,
"Yeah, we'll take something special if we were to go back into the transfer market," you know.
So I think he knew that this might be an option.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ronaldo made no secret about the fact he wanted out of Juventus. I mean, he turned around at the end of last season and he was packing up all his goods and posting.
He was shipping the cars out. That's right.
Shipping them all back to Lisbon and stuff like that. So there's no doubt about what this man wanted. In terms of all your outlook for the season this year, obviously that has now changed, I would imagine. In what way would you reckon it has changed? I mean, he's come in. We know how good he is. We know he's sensational. We know from a marketing point of view, he's sensational. Player, he's sensational. What he will give to the likes of Greenwood and Rashford will be sensational. Still learning their trade, of course. But in terms of your outlook for this season, Ted, probably start with you. What does this now bring? Is this now full on in their title contenders? As Darren would say, potential there to fight on all 4 fronts this season, all those major trophies that you could well be in with a shout now with this guy coming in. What you're thinking?
Yeah, like even before all this, and like notwithstanding the game last weekend, I was quite confident of us finishing top 4. Like there was no real doubt in my mind that we were going to finish in that top 4. Now there's always it's the Premier League. There's always the chance that you could get knocked down to 5th or 6th by somebody just having an amazing run. But I was quite confident of it. Ronaldo coming in, just to me, that makes it a dead certainty that we're going in, barring, some catastrophic injuries and collapse and things like that. And I do think it gives us that little bit more freedom to fight on the other fronts as well. Cavani, I believe Uruguay came out and said he's coming to us for a tournament, maybe gone for a couple of weeks. So
it's the international break, and apparently United have blocked it.
Yeah, but Uruguay have said no, like he is coming back to us and he'd be gone for a couple of weeks. So
you see, there's I suppose in the international break, Uruguay have a game in September, October, November, and January.
Yeah.
So with the talk of there being an isolation period when you come back into the country from a red zone list, like something's got to come to the point where either the Premier League decide we can't have that rule because it's just not feasible for clubs and players, or there's going to be some sort of an agreement between clubs and countries that they can do a certain level of it, but maybe friendlies or things like that have to be ruled out because of a 10-day isolation period plus the travel time and the game and stuff.
3 of them games are friendlies.
So that's where you've obviously got a chance maybe where to say, listen, if it's tournament football, fine. If you're playing a qualifier for something, fine. If it's a friendly, sorry, it's not happening because week to week we play as wages. we pay his wages, and that's the position we're in.
The argument as well, it comes down to the player as well. He might insist that he wants to play for his country.
He does. Exactly. He does want to play for them.
Right, but that's what I was saying. Like, if he decides he is going to go do that, now that Ronaldo is in there, if Cavani was gone, I'd be a little bit worried, because I'd be like, we only have one real option up front at the moment, because Martial just is not firing, and he hasn't been firing for a couple of years now. So you're talking Greenwood and then Cavani, and Cavani goes, you're left with only Greenwood, and you need more than that. Having Ronaldo in there now means that, if Cavani wants to go off and play in that, power to him, because we have Ronaldo there now. So we're not like, and I do think that this might hurt Greenwood a little bit in terms of, we now have quite a lot of attacking options with Sancho coming in, and you've still got Pogba there, you've got Bruno there. But I think there will be chances for Bruno to be rested now, and when Bruno's rested, you might see Ronaldo drop back a little bit and play in that position, which will let Rashford push up into the kind of the striker's role, and Sancho go out on the right, and then Pogba can be on the left, and Rashford can jump in there as well. And I hope to see Donny get some game time as well, be put in there. Whether that'll happen or not, that seems even less likely now with this signing, unfortunately, for Donny, because he is a quality baller. But you'd hope to see him getting some game time, allowing other players to rest as well.
I'd be surprised if he's not looking for a last-ditch move in the next 3 to 4 days.
Very possible, yeah. As a CDM, I think we still need to get someone. I'm not sold on Fred. He seems to be okay at winning the ball back quite a little bit, but when he wins it back, he seems to panic about the fact that he's won it back and just kick it 6 yards to the opposing team, which kind of negates the whole point of even winning the ball back. McTominay, I like McTominay, but I don't know if he's the player that'll hold that defensive midfield position. I think he likes to venture forward a bit too much. And Matic is great. He's past it. You need someone like Matic, but a couple of years younger, that still has the legs on him and the ability to go the entire season.
I suppose looking from the outside in, I mean, you'd have more confidence in McTominay having a better season once Varane is in there, wouldn't you? Because he wouldn't feel like he has to play that cover role all the time. He can just look after his own position, really. In terms of Greenwood, I mean, looking from the outside in, I think he's an exceptional talent. I really do. It kills me to say it, but he is. He's an exceptional talent. I'd hate to see him end up being that FA Cup or Carabao Cup guy.
I don't see that happening. I think overall, I think overall this move is probably going to be great for him. All right, in terms of playing time, it's going to dwindle down a little bit. But imagine what you can learn off.
Yeah, to be around him.
What is arguably the greatest goal scorer of all time. Do you know what I mean?
And even regarding, not going on about his finishing, even just the professionalism of the man. And that's something that they've talked about at every club he's been at. He's the first player to arrive at training every day, and he's the last player to leave in the evening, because he puts the time in. His body is a temple. He's not out, pissing it up against the wall. And I mean, Greenwood's already made a couple of very small slip-ups. So this again lends itself to Ronaldo being that somebody that you can look up to and go, you know what, I need to start doing things a little bit differently. Maybe I don't need to be in hotels rooms pricking around with Phil Foden and women when I should be having my eye on the prize and things like that. So it could really benefit the younger lads like that as well going forward,
But if you look at the likes of Ronaldo, what he's done, it shows the difference between him and Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney could still probably be at United if he kept himself like Ronaldo did.
Quite possibly. 100%.
Ronaldo has an elite mentality. There's not many footballers, maybe him and Ibrahimovic be the two biggest ones that have kept themselves the way they have.
I'd say Messi deserves to be put in that as well. Messi's kept himself in good nick as well.
He has, but he's very, very different. But he's a very,
he's more naturally talented. I will.
He is, and he's a generational sort of a player, as opposed to, I don't feel like Messi put in the amount of work that Ronaldo did.
No,
and I don't
Ronaldo
mean that
harbored his trade.
No,
100%.
I've always said that. When people ask me who's the best player of this generation, for me, it's Messi. Hands down is the best player.
Same for myself.
Ronaldo is up there.
Agree there.
Ronaldo is up there solely because of the work rate that Ronaldo has. He, as you said, first one in, last one out of the club. There was reports back when he first got to United where it was like, all right, we're finished training. And he was like, oh no, I'm just gonna stick around here and take a few more free kicks. Like, now he needs to go back to doing that because his
Didn't
free
make
kick,
any better.
it did back then. His free kicks back then were on point. Now he'd want to go back and start practicing those free kicks again because they're not what they used to be. But like, yeah, as a physical specimen, it's unbelievable. Like the guy is 36 and plays like he's in his mid-20s sort of thing.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction if you don't mind, Noel.
Yeah,
I'm gonna predict we're gonna see a very different Ronaldo at United.
Yeah.
Because I think what you spoke earlier on about legacy, I think he sees this as part of his legacy, and I think he sees that this is he can be viewed a certain way by people in the world. Ronaldo, he's very selfish. He's all about him. He's a prima donna. Blah blah blah. I think we'll see a different Ronaldo. I think, I've seen United fans already say, well, there's Bruno off penalties. I don't think it is. I think Bruno will still take the penalties. I think I think Bruno will still take them. I think it's not broken. We fix it. And I don't think he's going to come in here with his ego blazing as people think. I think he's going to be a little more of a team player. I don't see him anywhere near the captain's armband. I think he's going to be behind the likes of Maguire, even Varane, who's only in there, but again, another leader. And Bruno. I don't think it's going to be all about Ronaldo. I think this is his turn to maybe give back a little bit. And I don't think we'll see that egotistical side as much as we would have done in years previous. Because I think now he's going, you know what? I am certainly slowing down. And what else can I cover in this sort of legacy? And that's something he could do for me,
The only thing I will say there is any team that has Ronaldo in it is the Ronaldo show.
It has been up until now, but I think this ties into what Niall was saying earlier. Like, if you're talking about which team he's going to walk into and be more likely to actually win something with, like be more like if you were to hedge your bets and go, who am I definitely going to win something with out of United and City?
Oh, it's going to be City.
City would have been the safer bet for him, but I don't think that's what's important to him now. I think he knows, my legacy is not going to be tarnished. What I've done in football is not in question. Like,
it'll probably never be beat either.
That's what I mean. Like, what he's done will never be questioned. So I think this to him was, I'll come back, and I've come back to the Premier League, and there's only one club for me as long as they were interested. And the second United said they were interested, he was like, that's where I want to go. And maybe he will come in and it'll still be the same Ronaldo, and it's all about me. And hey, that's worked everywhere else pretty much, hasn't been an issue. But if he does come in, I'd be close to Darren as well, that I think that he might be coming in here with the idea of, let's get these back to being like, if I can win a league with these, that's my legacy sorted, because United have been struggling for years and then I came back. Yeah. And that'd be something he'd love to have on his chest, You guys 100%. Struggled. I came back, and I was a team player and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who brought you here, and he would still feel that way. And I think that a part of him still wanted to be liked. So when he was given the chance of United or City, he was like, I am not willing to give up that romantic relationship I had with Man United for going to City. I'd rather be loved by the United fans than win another trophy. And that's why he came to us. I think he does believe he can win a trophy with us. But I think to him, he was like, if I won a trophy with City, but lost the respect and the love of those United fans, it'd hurt me more. I think he does feel that.
I think he's learned a lot, hasn't he, from the Messi approach? He didn't want to do it the same way. He didn't want to kind of, that whole thing is kind of, there's a tarnish there in that kind of Barcelona career there now a little bit, isn't there?
And don't forget, and as much as we call City an elite club, like anyone seen the pictures, they gave away tickets for the last game, and the stadium was empty, absolutely empty. If you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you want to be given a platform to go and play. Now, you're not going to get a bigger platform in that Premier League than 80,000 people in Old Trafford. You go to the Etihad, do you end up with 15,000 on a Tuesday night?
Well, no, I think
they can't fill a stadium.
No, but if Ronaldo goes there, the stadium will fill.
Yeah,
I don't
think it'll stay full consistently though.
People would go to see him. I think people would go just to see him.
They will, but I don't think City give them the platform that United could, if that makes sense. From a trophy point of view, possibly, but City don't have the the global brand that United have.
No,
City aren't as big a club as United. and that's just facts. That's not because, they're one of our rivals. City don't have what United have,
Well,
Yeah.
And I don't mean that sound arrogant about it either, but it's
no, that's the reality of it in terms of stature and stuff like that, in terms of branding, stature, history, all that kind of stuff.
everything.
And he's a big part of that history, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
But in terms of, I mean, you're going to find out very quickly, aren't you, whether Solskjaer is the man or not? Because the excuses are kind of gone now, aren't they? Definitely. He has to deliver now. You're after getting Varane, you're after getting Sancho, you're after getting Ronaldo, you kept Cavani.
And still haven't spent as much as Arsenal.
Yeah.
Well, just look, that's just a totally, that's bewildering.
Yeah, that's apples and oranges.
But in terms of this now, he's going to have to figure out how to manage all these guys. You talked about Bruno getting rested.
Yeah.
Imagine him rocking into the dressing room going, listen, Bruno, we're going to rest you today. How is that going to go down? Obviously, you said with Cavani and with the isolation and the rules and all that kind of thing, it might slightly favour it. But then you're talking about when Rashford comes back and he's at full pelt, and you're talking about a fit Rashford who's absolutely unbelievable as well. If he's going to be told at a certain stage, listen, we're going to rest you today and all this kind of thing, is he going to be able to keep these all happy? And you're going to find out very quickly whether Solskjaer's the man. And certainly he has to deliver silverware this year without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, I had said that United, he had to win a trophy this year. He was gone. Right? Now he most definitely has to.
Yeah.
If he does not win a trophy this year, he is 100% gone. I don't care if he finishes second and loses 3 finals.
And Greg, we're not talking Carabao Cup here, are we? Or FA Cup now?
I like the FA Cup, lads.
No, I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm saying that's not the level we're talking about.
I think if he won the FA Cup, I think if he won the FA Cup, it might buy him a bit more time. Like if he finishes second, City, right, and he finishes second by 3 or 4 points, right, and wins the FA Cup, okay,
and
fine.
has a good Champions
You've got
League.
Close. Yeah, has a good
Champions League as well now.
Yeah, say quarterfinals or whatever in the Champions League, right? You say, fine, okay, you were unlucky this year. If he finishes 15 points behind City like he did last year and wins the Carabao Cup, I don't care who that is, you're going to be sacked for that.
Well, I suppose the problem when you look at it, like if he does say win an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, right, it's a piece of silverware for him and he's brought it in. And if he does finish 3 points behind City or 6 points behind City, it's a close run race and he's tightening that gap, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But look, who do you bring in then? Who do you bring in then to tighten that gap again? You know,
Conte would probably be the obvious choice.
No, I mean in terms of players.
Players.
Where else can you go? Like you've brought in Maguire, you brought in Varane.
Yeah, but we already know the midfield is extremely.
That's the worst.
Poor for United side. When you look at, we've had Brian Robson, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane in that midfield, and now we've just not got that at all. I don't necessarily see us going the whole season with the 2 boys in centre midfield. I'm a massive fan of the boy Hannibal who plays at the under 23s. I won't be shocked. Yeah, I won't be shocked to see him rock up into this team, maybe in the Carabao Cup, and get minutes and do well. And
he got sent off the other night.
Force himself into
the thing. You know what I mean? And I think again, the likes of having a Ronaldo in your team does mean you can maybe take, a couple of chances elsewhere on the pitch because he'll compensate for some of that, and it'll take some of the pressure off somebody like Hannibal behind him, because he's not worried about, okay, I've Hannibal there and I've got someone else up front who may or may not. Let's say I've got Anthony Martial who's been going through a rough patch. If I've got Anthony Martial up there, can I then give Hannibal a turn in the team? Maybe not, because I know I can't lose 2 or 3 players in the one team and still get victories and what I need to move forward,
Fergie found that out the hard way quite a lot in Carabao Cup. He used to play too many youngsters at once.
Yeah.
And
that's when we got turned over the likes of York City and stuff like this, Yeah.
Now what I found is since Ferguson went, their cup runs have been a lot better. Because the managers aren't taking as many chances with it. I do like seeing the young lads having a go and things, but putting 6 or 7 young lads in, they're gonna struggle.
I think that I think we've been doing better in cups because we've been playing way stronger teams, and not because of any respect for any clubs or because we're afraid to play the young lads. It's because those other managers were going, I can't guarantee us a Premier League within 2 years. Ferguson, whatever people want to like, Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time as far as I'm
He is,
concerned. And like, I know there's some people that might feel other managers are, but like the fact is that man could have walked into like, oh, our team's shattered. Well, I'll just rebuild it. No bother to me. And like United's dominance, and that's what it was. Like, I know they didn't win it for 13 years straight, but I mean that was 13 years of dominance, really. Like with him at the helm, for like, and no one could really compete with him. Like some people, like Mourinho gave him a run for his money for a little bit, and City gave him a little bit of a run there at the end.
Wenger gave him a run, but they were all stints.
Yeah,
They were
were
never
all
prolonged periods.
one or 2 years, and then he was just like, right, I'm winning that. You're not winning it again. Like that's the end of that.
But
But like
you
for a
gotta
man
remember
to
as well,
never
lads, you
to
gotta
never
rem-
finish outside the top 3,
Yeah,
top 4.
But you also remember with United as well, lads. I mean, they were the first real in the Premier League that became a global brand that had huge
they were.
attendance,
PLC and everything.
massive revenues, PLC.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
also with Fergie there and Martin Edwards and people like that and all, and Gill and all, they were lashing the money in whoever he needed, whoever he wanted. And I know you look back at like Keane and all for 3 million and all this. It's madness, really, but it was big at the time. I remember when they signed Rio from Leeds and the money they spent. I thought it was crazy. You know what I mean? But they had the financial clout to buy the players they wanted, and I know they brought through youth as well, and the class of '92 and all this kind of thing as well. But they certainly brought in what they wanted and stuff like that.
Oh,
And I'm not saying with United, it's different to say like what City are doing at times. United didn't necessarily buy the league, but they always made sure that they were more or less head and shoulders above the competition. But the thing about it is, once Chelsea came in with Abramovich, the tide kind of changed, and then the money came in. He started bringing in players, and that's when it got competitive. And I know Wenger did as well at times, but like with Wenger as well, he was very lucky as well at times with his signings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the way they gelled and stuff like that, because he didn't spend huge money, you know.
But so were United though. Like we've spent money lately, right? And players haven't worked. Do you know what I mean? Ferguson identified players that he wanted, and that would work in his system. Same way Klopp does. How many signings has Klopp made that haven't worked?
Yeah, but Ferguson also, and that's where we go back to the Klopp thing. Ferguson, I believe, made players better. I think that's something that Klopp does. I think you could give fucking Klopp a banged out fucking Opel and you get your tune out of it because he's that good. Whereas, you know, I see necessarily some of the other teams are teams of better individuals that can only just match up to Liverpool because of them being, you know, really, really good players. I don't think Liverpool would win a league title with any other manager at the minute. And again, I mean that very respectfully. I think the star of the show at Liverpool is Klopp.
Well, so I suppose you could argue maybe a Conte.
Oh, he's gone.
Conte to an extent, yeah, but the problem with Conte is that he's 2 years and then he's out the door on the third. Like he's way too temperamental.
Yeah, but I mean in terms of coming in and getting the most out of what he has, and
Tuchel as well, I suppose. Tuchel as well. Now, to be fair to him, has done it. But I think I don't know if they're going to do it. But United are pretty much dead set with like every position now, bar CDM, and I think that's where most United fans are kind of looking and going, we'd like a CDM. I think, listen, go out and get it now, because we're talking like
this is it now.
Ole needs to win this league, or he needs to win something. And if he doesn't win the league, you know, finishing 2 points behind City or 3 points behind City or whoever ends up winning the league, if you're that close and you get to say the quarter or semi-finals of the Champions League and get knocked out by a really good team and still have a good show and you're not getting hockeyed around, and then you win the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup or something like that, I think he'd survive another year on that. But if you go for it now, just go out and spend the 60 million. I know we've spent a good bit this season for this year already. Go out and spend the 60 million on a defensive midfielder now. Give yourself the best chance now. Don't wait another year and go, let's see how it goes. Just go for it.
Well, this is the conundrum, really, isn't it? So you needed that CDM, but obviously the opportunity to sign Ronaldo came along.
And for the money, you can't say no to him for that price. Like, you know,
but you know well that it was the CDM that you wanted, because it's not like you were short up front. Let's be honest here.
But with Cavani talking about being gone for 6 to 8 weeks as well, I think that might have influenced that.
I
Now,
think
you'd
we
be
are
mad
kind
not-
of short up front.
I
Sorry
think
to
you'd
cut
be
across
mad.
your head.
Yeah, I think you'd be mad not to go for Ronaldo at that money if you were given the chance. So I think we had to, like, imagine not going for him and then he went to City. The uproar that there would have been, you had to go for it.
Yeah, but Greg, if you look, I'm not just talking about the forwards, but if you talk like, I mean, you've Rashford there, Martial, Greenwood,
But
Sancho,
Rashford out till
Bruno.
the end of October, right?
Mm.
Cavani talking about going back and forward and 10 days quarantine here, 10 days quarantine there. You're talking about missing 2 matches, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, each time, right? That's not saying he doesn't pick up an injury, which he picked up a few of last year, right?
Yeah.
Greenwood had injuries. He missed the Euros because of an injury. You know what I mean?
Markley as well. That's what Rashford.
I know where you're coming from. So the signing of Ronaldo made sense on so many levels.
But like, we're going to make that. You'd make that back in short sales by tomorrow.
Well, it's already been made. It's been made back on the stock. The stock market soared when we signed Ronaldo. Like, they've already made all that money back on stocks. It's already been made. They made 250 million or something on stocks.
In Pep logic, we made 200 million profit after signing.
Yeah, and signed him for 5 million. Yeah, well, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I think he has to deliver big time this year. I think we're gonna see the real Solskjaer now. Is he gonna be the man to lead United? You know, in terms of man management and stuff like that, he's gonna have a lot of man management to do. As Darren said earlier in the episode, so many options there now, and trying to keep people happy. And, you know, the Bruno one for me is an interesting one. If you have to have a conversation about leaving him out, like just based on him on the pitch and stuff like that. That's
I think he's very similar to Ronaldo, though. He wants to play every game.
Yeah. I think the only thing that might help Solskjaer here is, though, you know, Solskjaer would have learned an awful lot under Fergie, because this was the conundrum that Fergie had week to week. And I think something that a lot of the guys that were around the club at that stage said was, he would, you know, I've heard Gary Neville say he'd leave you out on a Saturday, but you'd still feel good because he'd tell you, I'm saving you for Tuesday, you know, away at such and such. And it was the spin that he was able to put on it, you know, because he said, you wanted to play every game. You come over and say, you know, you're not playing on Saturday, kid. And Neville would be all, geez, he said, you know why you're not playing? I've got a big thing for you to do. You know, we're playing such and such in 2 weeks, and I want you ready for that and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, there's no better manipulator of the mind than Ferguson in that sense. And some of the, you know, Solskjaer would have heard that enough times himself, being part of that quartet that were fighting for 2 spots up front.
Solskjaer would have been more thinking when Ferguson came down to him going, you're starting today. Oh, what happened to the rest of the lads?
Yeah. I don't know whether Ollie would carry that kind of stature in that kind of locker room with those kind of stars. I don't know if Ronaldo's going to sit there and you know, be managed by Solskjaer, and it's going to sit okay if you're being asked to sit out. You know, it'd be interesting to see how it all unfolds. But as you said, I mean, he's obviously pumped up. He wanted to go back there. The prodigal son has returned. The pressure is on now. United have to deliver. There's no more excuses. It can't be that we didn't have this and we didn't have that. You've brought in the stars now and you've pushed the boat out. So it has to happen now, doesn't it?
Bring in one more now before Tuesday night. We'd be laughing.
That'd be some transfer window for United, wouldn't it? If you bring in another player.
If you brought in like a Kessié or even Basuma, Ndidi.
Don't be mentioning Basuma, please. We're already talking to him. Stop that now.
So are the reports saying United are as well. And apparently Dan James is in the conversation to go the other way.
Then he's definitely not going to.
Yeah.
I think if we do that, it'll be at right back.
Well, Dallow's on his way to Dortmund by the looks of it.
Yeah, Dallow's on his way to Dortmund, and you've already had Williams leave the club this week, so we're very light at right back.
Well, it has to be Trippier, doesn't it?
I think United selling Dallow to Dortmund. They're going to in a year or two.
I think there'll be a discussion, but I don't think Diallo or Dalot on a year's loan is going to.
Oh no, Dortmund are talking about buying him, aren't they?
They are, but I still don't think that's a strong bargaining chip. We'll give you.
No, neither do I.
Listen, I'll give you Diego Dalot, and you give me Haaland.
I'm not talking about just saying it's a straight swap. I'm talking about.
No, even as a bargaining chip.
Yeah, it's you scratch. We scratch your back, you scratch our type thing. But I don't think it's.
I don't think so.
Dallow barely covers the agent fee.
Yeah,
No, I know. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a conversation that's happening between the clubs.
I'm sure United will try the conversation. You'd be mad not to. But if I was sitting there, I'd be like, "You're offering me that, and you want me to, make a promise to you that no, not a chance,
Or-
lads."
I don't
a
think there's any
certain
harm. I don't think there's any harm with getting the Sancho deal done, and then obviously we're having, if the low goes to Dortmund on loan for the season with an option. Like, I don't think it's not productive if we're not going to keep that channel open, knowing in 12 months' time we're going to want to go to them and say, listen, we want to have a shot at Haaland. So I think it's clever if we're doing it that way, but I think it's nothing other than clever,
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
it's
think they're
building-
caring.
if you look at it there, then if you look at it there, right? Even if you don't say Dalot would be the one that you put in the deal, or Martial or whoever, Cristiano Ronaldo signed a 2-year deal with United, right? In 18 months' time, he can sign for a team on a free, right? Say he comes in this season and doesn't work. There could be your bargaining chip.
I don't know.
No,
I don't see Ronaldo going to Dortmund.
not a chance.
No.
No,
chance.
and Dortmund wouldn't even entertain his wages.
No,
Yeah.
if he was ever
If it's
going to
about-
Germany, it'd be Bayern Munich. He's never going to.
Yeah,
Dortmund.
no, it's not. That's not feasible at all.
You're not
for me.
you're not going into Dortmund on a rebuild at 37 or 38 years of age. Not a chance.
That man can go in anywhere he wants.
Oh yeah, no,
Which is why he wouldn't be going to Dortmund.
Don't get me wrong, they take him, but it just won't happen.
And in that stage, he will work at United though. He will play as a centre forward and he will get goals. And now, I'd say people that have backed, say, Lukaku to be top goal scorer at 72. I'd say if you look at Lukaku's betting now with Ronaldo coming in, it's dropped quite a bit.
I wouldn't say
don't
so.
know.
I'd say
I would.
I'd say the bookies will leave it as the same. They'll just be like, leave it at that.
You think so?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I still think Lukaku will be top goal scorer.
Yeah.
Even with Ronaldo. But I think Ronaldo will bring maybe 20 plus goals to United, which will be important in the grand scheme of it, but not necessarily in just the Premier League.
Yeah.
An extra 20 goals in a squad is an extra 20 goals, be it sprinkled over two or three competitions. I don't see him playing a Carabao Cup game in this season,
Yeah.
if I'm honest.
No,
I don't see him playing an FA Cup or Carabao Cup.
Might be a
unless
final.
it's a big toy, or you get to it, a quarter semi or a final, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Other
then,
than
but
that,
other than that, no.
he's adding goals and assists to your Premier League and your Champions League squad, and that's ultimately, going to get United a little bit closer than we have been.
Absolutely. Well, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on to talk about the return of the prodigal son, Ronaldo. Certainly the train that is Manchester United has just upped its gear and taken on a life of its own. We will check this out throughout the whole of the season and wait to see, does the returning son deliver or does he not? Till next time, Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. If you want to contact the show at _upper_tier on Twitter, or if you hit us up on Facebook and Instagram, the upper tier, or you can drop your comments into this video and let the boys know what you think. Cheers, lads.
Look.
Nice one.